Hello students, today let us study L.C. King's Scarp retreat model, or this is also known as parallel retreat model or geomorphic model, also known as cycle of pediplanation or evolution of landscape. L.C. King's model is also goes by any of these models. Now in the cover slide, I have given the picture of a semi-arid region. You can see this is a semi-arid region and there are certain residual hills which are known as Inselbergs. Now we will study more about this because L.C. King's model was based on a semi-arid region. Now before going into more details about this model, first let us understand what do we mean by the development of landforms, or how does landform develop? So development of landforms, this is also known as geomorphogenesis. Now what is geomorphogenesis? This constitutes of three words: geo, morpho, and genesis. So geo means land, morpho means form, and genesis means origin. So the origin of landform is geomorphogenesis. Now geomorphogenesis or origin or the development of landform is dependent upon various factors, and these factors can be divided into external and internal factors. When we speak about the external factors, means which operates on the Earth's surface, and internal which operates within the Earth's surface or in the subsurface region. So what are the external forces? These are the external forces, that is climate and climate change, sea level change, weathering, which can be physical, chemical, or biological, erosion, sediment deposition, and mass wasting. So you see, except sediment deposition, except this sediment deposition, all the rest has to do with degradation of the landscape. All the rest has to do with degradation of the landscape. So these are the forces of degradation. Now, internal forces are what? The tectonic movements of the earth, isostasy, volcanism, metamorphism, mountain building, crustal deformation, etc. You see, these forces tends to build the landform up. These are degradation, while these can be called as aggradation. So, it is the battle between these forces of degradation versus aggradation which results to the nature of the Earth's surface, that is the bedrock, the soils, and the sediments. Now, the ultimate product is the landform. Out of this, the end product is the landform, which may be in the form of mountain, maybe in the form of valley, plateau, hill, etc. So this is how the landform develops. Now let us come to the cycle of erosion. What is cycle of erosion? It refers to the whole process. Now when we speak about cycle, it can be a never-ending process also. It can be a never-ending process. Now the whole process of eroding an uplifted landmass to sea level is termed as one cycle of erosion. Now over here, the term uplifted is very important because once a landmass is eroded to sea level, then it has to be again uplifted up. Uplifted up from where? From the sea level, so that it can be again eroded back to the sea level. So it has to be uplifted up, and this upliftment is done by the tectonic forces, that is the internal forces. Erosion is an external force. So here you see how external and internal forces are interacting. So when the landmass is in the sea level, it is first uplifted, and the process of erosion starts to bring it back to the sea level. And once that is done, this is called as one cycle of erosion. Now, since most of the Earth's feature is quite lakhs of years old or billions of years old, so we hardly see one cycle of erosion, we can see polycyclic erosion. Now that is another issue, but this is cycle of erosion. Now the word erosion is used since erosion is the primary force of action in this entire process of bringing the uplifted landmass back to the sea level. Now, why do we need to study about the slopes? Herein we are seeing that there are three kinds of slopes and over here another type of slope. So why do we need to study about slope? Because see, you can see the different types how the slopes are getting reduced. So when slope changes, here slope changes, the landform also changes. Earlier the landform was this, now the landform is this place. So when the slope changes, the landform also changes. Now these three slopes, this is called the slope decline theory by Davis. This is the slope replacement theory by Penck, and this is the parallel retreat theory by King. Now, this theory, that is the Davisian theory of slope decline, this is time dependent. His theory, Penck's theory, is not time dependent. Penck had said that even in maturity or in old, that is here in old stage, the landform can again be uplifted. And if it is uplifted, again the cycle will start. So it is not required that the cycle to complete the cycle. So it can again be uplifted and then again the cycle can start. While King had said that the slope will retreat parallelly or reduce, see this is reducing parallelly. Over here also, the length between this and the length between this. So it is reducing parallelly. Here we are not seeing any parallel decline, neither over here, but here one can easily see how parallelly it is declining or retreating. So parallelly, this is retreating. Now King had taken his slope, nature of slope or the slope elements from Wood. In 1942, Wood had given the slope classification and Wood had classified slope into the upper, this part I have marked, this is the upper convex segment. You can see this is convex. Then the free flowing, this is the cliff face. Then we find this straight segment and then a lower concave segment. So these are the various segments of slope which Wood had classified, and these were taken up by King. Now, Lester Charles King, he was an English geologist and a geomorphologist, and he is known for his Scarp retreat theories. And his ideas are contained in these two books. And he had actually observed the South African landscape, particularly the Drakensberg Mountains. And his ideas, it includes certain components of both Davis and Penck because he studied both Davisian theory and the Penck theory. And after studying it, he rejected some of the points, while accepting some of the points and while completely giving some new points, new ideas. So what he rejected the relationship between uplift and slope as given by Penck. While he accepted the stage theory of Davis, but he rejected the sequence. We will see about the sequence. His views relate to the sequential development of landforms in an orderly fashion. Now, when he studied about these African landscape, he saw that there are three basic slope elements. That is, scarp having steep slopes, pediments, and Inselbergs. And he included these components in his theory. We can find scarps also, pediments also, and Inselbergs also. Now, this is the outline of King's concept. He accepted, like previous slide I have told you, that he accepted the Davisian trilogy of the process, stage, and structure. But as you are seeing over here, he rearranged the sequence. It was structure, process, and stage for Davis, but he made it as process, stage, and structure. So what does he meant by process? Process for King meant the semi-arid environment because, as you can remember, he studied the Drakensberg mountain of South Africa. So he meant the semi-arid environment, and in his semi-arid environment, this kind of environment was suggested because in this type of environment, the mass wasting, the weathering processes are important along with the work of a river. Now, although he said that he meant the semi-arid environment, but King also said that this kind of model can be applied uniformly in other environmental settings as well. Now, King's idea can be understood in terms of three components. What are the components? Slope element, development of hill slopes, and the epigene cycle of erosion. Now, if we come to the slope elements, now over here you are seeing certain types of slopes. Now, slope elements, he has differentiated into 4 types of slopes, as I have told you before that King used these 4 slope elements which were initially proposed by Wood. Now, what are the 4 slopes? That is the waxing, the free face, the debris slope, and the pediment or the veining slope. Now, waxing slope over here, this is a convex. You can see this is the crest. This is the crest of the slope, and this is a convex segment. This is the convex segment. And in this segment, we find erosion. We find much erosion over here. Because of erosion, what happens? There is this part is covered by weathered material, and these weathered material are transported down. These weathered material are transported down through soil creep. Then we have this scarp face, which is the free face. Now, this free face, along with the debris slope, this recedes back parallelly because of various weathering processes. Then we have the veining slope or the pediment. As you are seeing, this is a concave profile. This is not a depositional feature, but an erosive feature. Here, there may be bedrock, and all these materials, along with materials over here, along with materials of the bedrock, are transported downhill. So, along with the waxing slope, free face, debris slope, and the bedrock material over here, they are eroded and they are transported more downhill. While transporting this particular place, they attain the shape of concave. They attain a concave profile because of transportation, because of river action. Over here, the base area, the base area takes the shape of concave, takes the concave shape, and it is more eroded downhill. Now, one important thing is that each of these elements, they are semi-independent. What does it mean? Or the presence or the absence of any one of these slope element is not dependent upon the other except these two, free face and debris face. Like, for example, in hard rock terrain or terrain with sufficient high relief, all these 4 can be present. But in places of low relief or soft rock, these 2 may be absent. And if free face is absent, debris slope will also be absent, and vice versa. What is pediplanation? We have already seen that what is pediment. Now, what is pediplanation? This was given by King in 1942 in his book South African Scenery. Now, pediment, as you have seen before, this is this concave area. This is the topmost part. This is this concave area, along which the fast flowing rivers, while they are coming down, see over here, eroded materials, while they are coming down, they erode and they erode this place also. So they come down while eroding. So this is an erosional surface. And this pediment area, this is actually the upper part, as you can see over here. This pediment area is actually what? This is the upper part. This is the upper part of a gentle sloping or a smoothly sloping Piedmont surface. This entire is called Piedmont surface. So this is an erosive landform, and the pediment is the upper part of this concave landform, the upper part of this concave erosive landform. And this landform, as you can see, is a smoothly sloping. What can be the slope? How much degree? 0.5 degree to 7 degree. So smoothly sloping concave Piedmont surface. So this is a erosive landform. But the lower part of this pediment, is the aggradational feature, which is called, maybe somewhere over here, which is called a bajada. So over here, maybe where the depositions will occur, maybe over here to the lower part, This is the upper part of the Piedmont surface. Towards the lower part, we have the bajada. More lower, sometimes we may find some lakes which are called playa lake. The rivers, the intermittent rivers, sometimes they go inside the sand, they die out, or sometimes they may drain out into the playa lakes. So when several pediments, this pediment over here, there is another neighboring pediment over here, some neighboring pediments over here. So just try to remember the cover slide. So when several pediments, they join together in this large area, that large plane area, relatively convex or concave plane area, that is called a pediplane. So and these kinds of flash floods, for a pediment to develop, flash floods is very much essential. And in semi-arid region, there is a lot of flash flood or sheet floods occurs, and because of the sheet floods, they bring this erosive materials down the hill like this. So this pediment over here, these are the fundamental form to which, according to King, every landscape, particularly semi-arid landscapes, they tend to be reduced worldwide. And according to King, the semi-arid landscapes must be regarded as normal landscape. So I hope it is clear till now. So you have the four phases. Number one, the convex, then the free, the debris slope, it is sloping as you are seeing, and then the pediment from real life, from real world scenario. And the lower part, and all these are erosional feature. And over here we find a depositional feature in the form of bajada. This entire region is called the Piedmont surface. The lower part is called bajada, and there might be a lake still lower, which is called the playa lake, where all the rivers may drain. So up till here it is clear, I hope. Now what is parallel retreat or scarp retreat? Now according to King, each of the upper part of the slope, each of the parts of the slope, they are retreating back parallelly while they are maintaining the same angle. They are maintaining the same angle. They are not just getting replaced. They are maintaining the same angle. See the distance. Similarly, see the distance. So they are maintaining the same angle. Slowly, this convex length, convexity, this slightly becomes gentler. Slowly this convexity, the convexity over here, will slightly become gentler with more and more of erosion. So this, the scarps, this is the scarp. As I have said, that the free face is the scarp. So see how the free face of the scarp, they are retreating back. Along with the debris slope. See how they are retreating back. While they are retreating, see what is happening over here. At first, the pediment was only this part. Now the pediment has been extended to this part. Next, the pediment is extended to this part. So over here what we are seeing that a lot of pediments are joining together, and ultimately we see a long concave region. Here a long concave region, we see a long concave region. So which occurs due to what? Due to the joining up of the various pediment areas. This pediment area joined with this or with the neighboring areas. So ultimately area a huge area develops, which is a hugely concave area and which may have some residual hills like this. So King has rejected the slope flattening. The slopes are not getting flattened. They are just parallelly retreating back. They are parallelly retreating back over here. And the sheet flood, the reason is that the sheet flood is the type of water flow which is dominant for this kind of weathering process according to King. So, and as process will go with time, this convex part will slowly become gentler. The convex part will slowly become gentler. Now slowly that the scarp will retreat, and ultimately when the scarp will retreat from both sides, this side and this side, ultimately the residual hill will remain in the form of an Inselberg. You can see various pediments have joined together, and this entire process of pediment is called pediplanation. And what it results into this kind of a concave feature with some residual hills called Inselbergs. With time, this Inselbergs may be more reduced. It can be known as Bonhardt. When there is more reduction, it can be known as, or it is known as castle Kopies. Now, till now, we have seen about parallel retreat. Let us see about the stage of pediplanation. Till now, we have seen that how the scarps or the slope, it retreats, how they have retreated. Now we will see how relief is also destroyed along with slope retreat, how relief is also destroyed. Now, to start with this stage, he believed that the major landforms of the earth were evolved by tectonic events. Why tectonic events? Because that landform has to be uplifted, first of all. So in the first stage, what happens? The landform is uplifted by tectonic forces, leading to the formation of major landforms. As soon as it is uplifted, immediately the rivers will start cutting the valleys vertically. The rivers will start down cutting, like you are seeing over here, cutting the valleys vertically. As the cycle draws near the end of the youth, as the youth or the first stage ends, the earlier, now the fast cutting slopes, now it slows down. Why it slows down? Now it will become U-shaped or concave valleys. How? Now we had V-shaped valleys. Before this, in the first stage, we had V-shaped valleys. Now, more streams, intermittent streams, will be joining the mainstream. They will be joining the mainstream. They will try to join the mainstream over here. Following this nick point, these are the nick points. So, because when a stream will fall, because over here there is a difference of relief. So the streams will jump from this. When they will come over here, the intermittent rivers or the streams, when they will try to come towards this base level, they will have to jump along this nick point. Now, when they do so, there will be again slope reduction, or I should say slope erosion, because when they will come, there will be certain decline of the slope, retreat of the slope, plus there will be parallel retreat. Now, when they are joining over here, the volume increases, the volume of the river water increases. When it increases, there will be lateral erosion. When the volume of the river water increases, it will result to lateral erosion. Over here, you are seeing Earlier it was V, now because of lateral, see, this has increased. Or in another way, you can say that the pediment is increasing. This is the pediment area. This is the pediment area. See, the pediments are increasing. Earlier it was this, now it is this, now it has become this. So the pediments are increasing because of lateral erosion of the river. Because in second stage we find lateral erosion more. Why we find more? Because of the joining of the streams. Joining of the streams leads to what? Volume increase of water. Volume increase of water leads to what? What? More lateral erosion. So the relief which during the youth saw an increase will now show a decline of relief. So over here there is parallel retreat, that also decline. We are seeing earlier the relief was here, now it has parallelly retreated, the slopes have retreated to here. Same way this side also. Plus earlier the relief was here, but there is also a reduction, parallel reduction of course. With the convex, I have said that the convex or the crest will also become gentler. So there is a reduction in the convex areas also as more and more streams will be joining. So see how parallelly earlier it was this, now the pediments are increasing with lateral erosion, the slopes are also retreating back. Then again the slopes are more retreating back. This is how there is a slope reduction. In the old stage, what we see that earlier it was here, there is a major reduction in the relief as most of the relief is destroyed, and what we find is that we find some residual hills. We find some residual hills. Earlier it was here, but parallelly there has been an overall reduction of the various parts of the slopes along with the convex nature, along with increase of pediments because of lateral erosion. Earlier it was here till here. Earlier it was this much. Now it has increased to this, the pediments. See how various pediments are coalescing. This pediment is coalescing with this. This pediment is coalescing with this. That is getting joined. So the various pediments are getting joined. When various pediments are getting joined, ultimately there will be a vast concave feature like this, a vast concave feature which is known as Pediplane because of the merging of various pediments. And this concave feature will have a few residual hills in the form of this, and this kind of feature is known as pediplanation feature or pediplane or the cycle of pediplanation. And this kind of a surface we found in the African landscape. Thus, the King's landscape cycle involves two processes. The first we have seen the Scarp retreat, that is a parallel retreat, and now we have seen the process of pediplanation. So it is the operation of these two processes which lead to the formation of erosion surface. So this is in very gist. So you see, first there is an uplift. After the uplift occurs, then we find crustal stability. Then there is no more uplift. Then we find crustal stability. Herein, King differs from Penck. As soon as there is uplift, we see first I-shaped valleys because the river will start eroding. Then we find V-shaped valleys in the youth. In maturity, we find U-shaped valleys over here because of lateral erosion plus increase of the pediments we see over here. Then we find in the last stage, obviously there will be lateral erosion plus, as said before, slope retreat, parallel retreat of the slope, which is why along with this we are finding the slope which was like this. See how it was so convex. I have told you that the convexity, the angle of convexity in the crest will also be gentler. So it has become gentle slope it has become. But at the same time, see the width has reduced because of both sides there is slope retreat. You will find it more easy over here. See how both sides, from here it is retreating back to this portion, from here it is retreating back to this portion because both sides we find slope retreat. and then ultimately it will retreat to this small feature, residual hill. So ultimately, this kind of relief with vast concave relief features having some residual hills is what is known as pediplane. Next, we come to the Epigene cycle of erosion. According to him, the term epigene refers to the surface. Now, he said that therefore the epigene cycle of erosion is related to water and wind. And in addition to weathering mass wasting, it doesn't, however, include glacial, marine, volcanic, or karst processes. He accepted the concept of stages but rejected the concept of crustal movement. And the entire process is initiated by what? By stream incision. This stream incision is required to make the landform formation, whatever, because this is also stream incision, owing to stream incision. This is also because of stream. This retreat is also because of stream. So stream incision is very important for this epigene cycle of erosion. Let us see the differences or the similarities. First of all, both King and Davis, according to them, uplift is rapid in comparison with the rates of denudation. According to King, his model of slope development is parallel retreat, while Davis believed in slope decline theory. The last result is the peneplain, but according to him, it is the peneplain with monadnock, and this is with the help of Inselbergs. He emphasized the role of erosion alone in the formation of pediment, but according to him, both erosion and deposition is a must for the formation of peneplains. Both believed that the drainage lines are the major agent for the removal of material. According to King, the erosion cycle is a never-ending process. It begins with the uplift, the cycle is completed by pediment, and then once it reaches pediplanation, once it reaches this, again there will be an uplift. According to Davis, after the formation of peneplain, the cycle will stop. The criticisms are that it is doubtful to assert, like he has said, that this kind of landform, semi-arid, whatever his cycle is, it is based upon semi-arid region, and he said that this kind of landform can be duplicated, this kind of cycle can be duplicated in other geographic features also, environmental conditions also. But it is doubtful whether really that kind of cycle can be found in other geomorphic settings also, where the same kind of end result will come in other geomorphic settings also, because every region has their own setup. With that setup comes their own geomorphic and environmental conditions. And King's concept of pediplanation is really questionable. So these are the two major criticisms. Now, although there are various criticisms, not only for L.C. King, but there are criticisms in the theory of Davis also, as well as Penck also. But all these theories, either by Davis or King or Penck or Wood, so all these theories, they form the basis or the foundation for further research in this subject, in our subject, in the subject of physical geography. So criticisms, when we study regarding these topics, when we study about these various topics, then only can we learn various other aspects of geomorphology. So thank you. If there are any questions, you may write it down. I hope I could make you understand about King's Scarp retreat or parallel retreat theory. Thank you.